So these coping strategies start really early on. Who can say? But I'd say as young children, where we somehow learn that we have this magical ability, and we just do it automatically. It's just a part of being human, I guess. So we do it, and when times are tough, we escape to the mind and we get comfort, we get soothing. And so whether the story is entertaining, or whether it's telling us, I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to run away from home, and so it's future thinking to help us soothe that moment, to say it's not going to last forever, or whatever the strategy is that the mind starts to, when it's talking to itself as a child, it's really soothing, it's really comforting, and so this is hard to let go of, because it's a bit like having a safety blanket. It feels really good to have that there. It feels a bit like if you have an itch and you scratch it, it's that sort of satisfying feeling. And so those strategies are so ingrained in us, like the grooves of the neural pathways have been so ingrained to operate in that way. So when that trigger of pain is felt, then the strategy just appears straight away, unconsciously. We don't know it's happening, and before we know it, we're numb to it, so we can't feel it anymore, or we're starting to feel good, or we're starting to laugh, or whatever the strategy is. So it happens very quickly. We have become very good at doing that automatically, because so much is operating just automatically, unconsciously, and we can become conscious of it, but we have to put some work in to try and spot those patterns of thinking that are happening, that are currently unconscious, that we can bring into conscious awareness so that they can be let go of. Basically, when it's operating unconsciously, there's not a lot we can do with that. It's just going to keep happening each time it gets triggered. So we want to really pay attention to what those strategies might be that are stopping us from feeling, when we have that willingness to break through that part of awakening, that part that can be painful, but only initially. You do get used to it, I promise, and you can even start to enjoy it a little bit. And so the soothing of the mind is one part of why we keep thinking. We're avoiding feeling pain. We get soothed by it. It's like scratching an itch, and we get addicted to it. We are so used to doing it and have been doing it for so many years. It's really our humanity's greatest addiction, you could say. We're all addicted to thinking. And that's because we can't help ourselves. We can't stop it. We can't stop it even when we want to, even when we're going through awakening or doing meditation practice and we want to stop thinking. We notice that we can't, and that's that addictive quality to it, because it's happening automatically. And that's totally fine that it's happening like that. That's the nature of mind. It will slow down on its own throughout the awakening process, so you don't have to worry about that part to it. But the parts that you can work on are the like I said, the strategies that are enabling you to stop feeling as deeply as you need to, and noticing the comfort that you get from thinking. And it could be the most boring thought, it could be absolutely anything, but you might notice a sense of comfort that you get from the thought process. So if you can try and catch that feeling of that comfort that comes over you when you start to think, and then see if you can sit in the uncomfortableness instead. See if you can spot that and sit in the, what am I avoiding here? You can even just ask that, what is it that I'm avoiding feeling right now? And then just sit in the discomfort, basically sit in the emotion and process it if that's what wants to happen. Other ways that we can be addicted to the mind is this just repetition. It's just because it's been going on so long, so those grooves are just happening, and so it's a part of that is what meditation is really beneficial for, and that is to break the habit of thinking. So a part of it's just on a habitual level. Like any habit, we can do it with some attention, with some focus, and with some effort. We can try to change the way that the mind's conditioned to operate, instead of just going to automatic thought processes, and instead focus on the silence, focus on the gaps, focus on the stillness, all these techniques that we use in meditation. And that's going to get around the mind, because it's pretty hard to use the mind to quieten the mind, because it's going to activate it. So we want to do something to get outside of the mind, which is why we look for the silent spaces, the silent parts. And when we do this enough, when we have a meditation practice, or we just sit still, or we sit out in nature, whatever our practice is, and we connect with our silence, the silence parts that are us, it starts to break that habitual way of thinking. And then the deeper you start to go into the silence, the deeper and the further along you go in your practice, you will also start to understand the mechanics of your mind and the ways it tries to trick you and to put you back to sleep again, and the patterns that are still operating there, the conditioning that's there. So the more access you get to the silence by doing a practice of being with it over and over and over again, as much as you can, as often as you can, and starting to break the way that the mind is, the link goes from this thought to this thought to this thought. And instead you start to have awareness of the thoughts, because you have more access to the silence, and the thoughts can come up and the links start to break. And so the thought can be there, instead of it going from this thought, thinking about mum, then thinking about dad, and then thinking about auntie or whoever. The chain of thinking, the chains start to break, the links start to break. And so you then start to notice that that pattern of thinking is starting to dissolve, really. And so this is where meditation is great. It's truly great for breaking habitual thought processes.